I can't get that cheesy pasta cooking out of my mind. Well, it's actually the Chris or Jenny Show, featuring Deej and starring Josh Rosenstein on WCOM LP Chapel Hill and Carborough.
Yeah!
Woo!
I popped 4 NyQuil before the show, so we'll see how that goes.
NyQuil?
Good evening, friends.
Good evening, friendos, frenemies, and friendishes.
Good evening, Deej.
Good evening, Chris. Good to see you.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, since before Thanksgiving, I think, right?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say it out loud.
Yeah.
You're much handsomer today than Thanksgiving. I don't know what changed.
I don't know. Nothing changed. I'm just aging like a fine milk.
You look... You look svelte.
Oh, do I? Oh, I don't know.
Looking fun.
You say svelte like a can of milk?
Yeah. Evaporated milk.
I'm aging like a, I can't top that.
What dairy product does he look like?
It's half and half?
Yeah. All right, yeah. Any eventful goings on over break? Thanksgiving to New Year's?
Man, yeah, a couple things.
Getting good presents?
Let's get Josh in here, and then we'll talk about all that. I want to welcome in our guest tonight, Deej. He's in the green room. Josh, come on in. I know our green room is comfortable,
Josh,
but please just leave the snacks and booze behind and just come on.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi, friends.
Hey, we got Josh Rosenstein.
Rosenstein.
Yeah, not Rosenstein.
Comedian, Deej. Songwriter.
Yeah.
And what does it say here? A plumber, it says on this piece of paper. That can't be right.
Is he a journeyman?
That can't be right.
I've eaten plums.
Okay.
I think that's like plumbing in its own. It's a non-traditional definition of plumbing.
That's yeah. Great research department. I don't know.
You guys don't lie on your resumes.
Yeah.
Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Dude, we're excited to have you. Local comedian, local musician. We're pumped to have you here. Christmas was fine, Deej. What do, dumb question, I apologize ahead of time. They all are pretty dumb, Josh.
Yeah.
What do Jewish people do on Christmas Day?
What do you mean they're all pretty dumb?
My questions.
Oh.
Don't try to get me.
Are you a fellow Jew, am I assuming?
Sure.
Okay, yeah, nice.
Yeah.
You're outnumbered, my man.
Yeah, I open sets a lot. Like, hi, nice to meet you. My name is Josh Rosenstein. If y'all want to follow me, write that down. That's Rosenstein spelled J-E-W.
Oh, yeah,
You
pretty
guys
good.
cool with Jews?
Yeah.
Cool.
My one joke that I'm allowed to say is Deej is my Hebrew homie.
Yeah.
That's all I've gotten away with in 2 years of doing this show.
Well, yeah,
It's more
but
of an alliterative description than a joke.
Right.
it is, yeah.
And most of my jokes are not jokes, so it's you're right on.
So traditionally on Christmas is Chinese food.
Oh, yeah.
The Chinese don't really celebrate Christmas either, so they're usually open.
Yeah.
Just, we're immune to Christmas.
Do you treat Christmas Day perhaps the way that most of us treat a holiday that we get off work, but we don't really...
like Arbor Day.
Arbor Day, yeah, there you go,
Yeah.
thank you. Is that fair, Josh?
There's also a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any Gentile family? Are you like full Hebrews and Shebrews?
Yeah.
Deej is very
I'm
gentle.
full.
You're quite gentle.
Yeah, I'm genteel.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah.
Didn't hear it.
No, I got like a DNA test, and I'm 99. I'm a 99 percenter.
99%.
Yeah,
Jew.
we've got some marriage. Like some people are like my stepfather is not Jewish, and there's a Christmas tree at my mom's house for my stepfather. But yeah, I was raised and am full Jew. How about you?
My mom converted before I was born, so she didn't grow up Jewish, but we were raised in a pretty Jewish household. We went to
gotcha.
synagogue and did the holidays and all that.
Yeah.
So you grew up in Atlanta. I know you went to school in Georgia.
Yeah, I grew up in the northern suburbs of Atlanta, undergrad at UGA in Athens.
So grew up in Atlanta. Went to
Dogs.
Georgia. Yeah, you're in the national.
Woof.
You're in the national.
It's us against the evil arch enemy of
Alabama.
all of college football, Alabama.
Yeah.
If there isn't like an Emperor Palpatine of all college coaches, it's got to be Nick Saban.
Nick Saban.
Yeah, he's Darth Vader.
From West Virginia, by the way, where I'm from. But no, you're right. They're the evil enemy, totally. My wife went to Notre Dame, and she's actually a bigger football fan than I am. They kind of just didn't make the playoff, but
They had a good year.
that's what I try to tell her. Notre Dame fans don't get this. Losing 1 or 2 games throughout the season is good. Like there's so many teams out there that 5-5, 6-6. Going down to losing 1 game is a good season or
Well,
2 games.
they also lost their head coach,
yeah, that
who
was.
then after that lost his mind when he all of a sudden started talking like a Cajun swamp monster when he first went on TV for LSU.
I don't like that when the coaches leave the team right before. Because, by the way, at the point where Brian Kelly left Notre Dame, it was an outside shot, but at that point, Notre Dame still had a shot to be in the Final Four.
They had a great season this year. It's weird for a coach to leave such a high-profile program who's doing really well.
When he left, their season was over. Notre Dame's not in a conference, so they don't have a championship, but they were 11-1 or whatever their record was, something in 1. There were 2 or 3 scenarios, Michigan could have lost, whatever, where Notre Dame still could have been in the final. And to leave right then and there, to me, that's shady.
They also don't get the benefit of playing in a conference championship game.
So what got you from Georgia to Chapel Hill?
From going to school in Georgia, I lived in the western part of the state for a while. I worked at a summer camp, and then they had a school program up there, so I worked for their school program for a few years, like teaching and leading backpacking trips and stuff. And
Nice.
then worked at some nonprofits in Asheville, then kind of left that job on a whim and conned my way into a buddy's tour in Australia.
I saw that you toured in Australia.
Yeah, my best buddy, Andrew Small, he's up in Floyd, Virginia right now.
What's up, Andrew Small?
Yeah, he and his wife Ash play music all around the area. But he was in a band called One Up Two Down with a couple guys based in Australia, and they were going on a tour. And I kind of conned my way into coming and opening for them and doing like a short comedy set and like selling their merch. And then I was able
Nice.
to book a few gigs at comedy rooms outside of there.
So they performed music, but you opened as did you have your guitar with you when you opened, or?
I had like a baritone ukulele, it's like a tiny guitar. Yeah, it went weirdly. People were not expecting stand-up. I was only a year into doing it. I wasn't particularly good enough to warrant going to Australia to perform for the people.
But if you bomb, who gives a shit? Because you're on the other side of the world. No one in Georgia's going to know you bombed.
Well, it was fun. It made me appear so much more legitimate as a comedian. And then I was able to, just by the fact that I was over there, people were like, oh, well, you clearly must be something because you're over here. So it made it easy to book some just purely stand-up gigs on my own.
Don't comedians love it when things go weirdly?
No, I think they want it to go well.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
But weird is good in comedy.
All I know about Australian comedy is you're allowed to drop the C-bomb down there.
yes.
Did you take advantage?
I didn't personally. I did in conversation with Australian friends' older parents when drinking heavily, but not like on stage in front of people.
Okay.
I did write we were on tour, so we were in the vans a lot going through the countryside of Australia on the highways. So I wrote like 10 minutes about the billboards.
Yeah.
And like that tend to go over there and just being I'm an American in Australia. This is how things are different.
Yeah.
Over here, you call Bush, the forests. Where I come from, Bush is a terrible president.
Yeah.
Is 90% of your act when you're in Australia about how Australia and the United States are different?
Oh yeah, I mean that's what I had because that's what was the easiest.
Yeah.
So you're like a reverse Paul Hogan kind of.
Sure.
Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, Hogan Paul.
There we go. Yeah. So, how are Australian crowds? Are they more receptive to certain types of humor? Do they laugh more or less?
This was a while ago. This was 2014. So there's a whole generation of people who I performed for who are now maybe dead.
Hopefully.
Yeah. No.
That was 8 years ago, so that means they had to have been at your show in their late 70s or something unhealthy.
Yeah, the crowds were pretty good.
Yeah.
And especially in like the cities I did most of the shows in that were like purely stand-up shows in Sydney and in Melbourne. There were like really active scenes with really good comedians.
They seem like cool cities.
And I was in Melbourne maybe 2 or 3 months before like the Melbourne International Comedy Festival.
Yeah.
So some of the big comedians were like coming out and like dusting off their material. So like I got a chance to open for some people who were really great and really fantastic who were like just working out material they would later, do in these big shows.
So how did, you said Ash Small?
Ash Watkins is her last name.
What's up, Ash Watkins? Shout out to Ash Watkins, Deej.
What's up, Ash?
She's a supporter. She listens to this show. I don't know if you know that,
Yeah,
Josh.
well,
She better.
and how they met is she is her brother was in the band.
But
Daniel
how?
Watkins.
Nice. How did they get the tour in Australia from here?
I think Andrew met George and Dan playing at like fiddle camps. They had come over here to play like old time music.
Yeah.
And they had met, and I think George had often been booking tours for himself and bands he was in and other groups.
Nice.
Throughout Australia.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Josh, what got you into stand-up comedy in the first place? So you're growing up in Atlanta. At some point, you land in Chapel Hill with a
Yes.
detour in Australia.
Yeah. In high school, I started, playing guitar and writing songs and stuff. And I would play at a local open mic in Roswell, which is the suburb just north of where I grew up. Sandy
Sure,
Springs.
Roswell, Georgia. I've been there. Yeah.
Yeah. I started playing at an open mic and doing shows there. And then throughout college and after, I'd play a lot of shows as a singer-songwriter. And I would find I'd look more forward to talking in between songs. And I was taking more and more time in between songs. So finally, I actually made it a New Year's resolution to just try it. I was living in Brevard, North Carolina, 45 minutes away from Asheville was the closest town where there was an open mic. The first set was like 4 minutes or something, and everything bombed except for one joke. And the ride home, I was like, I'll get him. I'll get him.
I can build off of that one joke. So you were a musician first, but the chatter between the songs became your bits.
Yeah.
And then you decided to turn that into an act.
So are you a comedian who plays guitar? Are you a musician who's funny? Where on the spectrum do you fancy yourself?
Like between Weird Al and like a guy screaming on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Well, when I first started doing stand-up, I wouldn't use the guitar at all, and I wanted to be like, I'm doing stand-up. I'm not doing music anymore.
Yeah.
And then the first joke that really worked well was something I figured out with a guitar, and I was like, why am I not doing this?
Yeah.
Why not use every tool to your advantage? Because you can already play guitar.
Yeah.
So why not use that, so to speak?
So like I do some like funny short songs, and kind of a lot of my act now is like lovingly making fun of folk and country music from like a place of love.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, he's got a guitar sitting right behind him, Deej.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's there just to bash against one of our heads. I mean, we could have him.
That's what I was planning on.
Is that an option?
Are you guys not insured for that?
Let me get my helmet.
Deej just had a few guitars bashed on his head in his day.
Yeah, he's not wearing his helmet. Chris and I are, of course, wearing helmets.
Yeah.
Man.
As we have been the whole time.
Blew it.
Get that bad boy up. Yeah, let's
Let's hear a song.
You guys are probably used to having to, sell commercials for airtime and whatnot. Well, I mean, I got some jingles for you because I always wanted to make it as a country singer, but like I told you guys, I'm Jewish, and Jews and country singers are a Venn diagram that's two separate circles.
Non-overlapping.
very small percentage likelihood of success.
So I was like, well, maybe I could write like country-style jingles for businesses. Jews are historically good at advertising. Like,
Oh my
maybe
God,
this
I
is
love
something
it.
We could do.
Hit us with one, baby. Let's go.
This is for a local Christian small business here in Orange County. They're called Jesus is on the Main Line. They're a telecommunications firm. They spell telephone and internet plans for small businesses.
Small Christian business.
Let me give you a big, like, 1950s, like, introduction to do it.
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Rosenstein. Or is it Stein?
Stein. You got it.
Yeah, nice.
Telephone, internet, and faxing, that's the holy trinity of business. We'll take all the sixes off your fax machine so you can't accidentally fax Satan.
Oh, gosh.
Cause every call is a conference call if you count Jesus. Yeah.
Jaunty and informative.
Beautiful. I like
I
it.
kind of want to switch providers.
I got $17 for that.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, after tonight, probably $17.50.
Yeah, that's $6.66 after taxes taken out.
You might actually lose a few bucks after doing it on our show.
There's got to be like a Jewish country singer, like the Yao Ming
It's
of.
Kinky Friedman.
All right, we'll take it.
Yeah.
Here, I'm gonna search it right now. Do you have another jingle?
Sure. I'm doing this one on speculation for the telecommunications companies over in Silicon Valley, like
Okay.
the Google and whatnot, trying to
Sure.
make people less worried that they're so terrible and evil. You can't keep your data when you're dead. No, you can't keep your data when you're dead. And since you can't take it with you, how about you just give it to Google instead? You can't keep your data when you're dead. That's technically true. You might as well let Google try to sell stuff to you. Algorithmically, ain't nobody knows you like they do. And based on your recent search history, they recommend this gluten-free vegan lube. Gross! It's the same as regular lube, but it costs 3 times as much.
Oh man.
Just a different package. It
Yeah.
doesn't have gluten in it.
No.
Not if you're using it right.
Oh wow.
You might as well let Facebook tell you how to vote. They'll find a candidate that floats your boat. And if you disagree, you shouldn't have clicked yes on the user agreement, you effing idiot. Democracy has died and it's your personal fault.
All right.
Josh Rosenstein,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen.
Kind of want to donate my my data to Google for some reason.
Well, you already are, brother.
Yeah, that's true.
Why do some Steens go Steen and why some Stein?
I think the whims of whoever was working at Ellis Island that day.
Isn't like if you get corrected, actually it's
I think
Stein. I think that's kind of a
I think it's like Stein back in the old country. I think
Yeah.
Steen is like the Americanized.
yeah, that could be because it is in German. It is Stein.
Well, you guys remember
Rosenstein.
Win Ben Stein's money?
Oh, yeah.
Stein. So here we go. Win more native, one of just 2 Jewish and country music. Ray Benson, Jewish country
is he the
star.
guy from Asleep at the Wheel?
I don't know. I don't want to click it because they'll know all my details. Google will. And then Jenny just sent me this article. My partner on the show, Jenny Cook.
Shout out to Jenny.
Yeah, what's up, Jenny Cook?
Jenny!
Do a song about
Jeannie.
Jenny, the greatest partner in radio. Think about it while I tell you what this article. It's called "Why the Nashville Music Scene is More Jewish Than You Think."
All right. Well, I think it's not Jewish. Very. So I mean, plenty of room to grow.
Right, like you think it's 0%. So even if they're only 3% Jewish, that would be a lot.
Oh no, I'm sure there's a lot of Jews cooking up them songs in the sidelines. I'm gonna say 30.
I'm not going to read this whole article. I'll just post it to our Facebook group.
All right. Check that later.
So if you wanted to come up with a jingle for my partner on the radio, Jenny Cook.
What's the best thing about her as a radio partner?
So many things,
what's
dude.
Her favorite kind of music.
She's a DJ, and she's trying to create a side business where she is a wedding DJ, but she'll be a crappy wedding DJ, but she won't charge you that much. So, you know, weddings are expensive, you guys know. I mean, the damn cake, thousands of dollars, the photographer, thousands of dollars. And her thought is, you know what? I'll be your wedding DJ, but I'm not going to sit there and cater to every little whim that you have. I'm gonna play from this library. I'm not going to be perfect. I'm not going to show up early, but I'm going to be your wedding DJ, but I'll charge you like 20% of what the other guys do.
So she's like that crappy reliever that's on a different team every year because he's willing to play for the league minimum, even though he sucks. But he's like, I don't want to.
He was an all-star like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, he'll get you through an inning or two.
he will.
Because she'll do your wedding.
Yeah,
Good clubhouse presence.
yeah, good bang
sure.
for buck.
But her whole point is if you're sitting there coming up to her at 11 o'clock at night saying, hey, play Backstreet Boys, she's like, And whenever you're ready, bust out a jingle for her.
Give me a style of music that she likes or that you like this jingle to be in.
Well,
I'm thinking A minor.
Okay.
Yeah,
A
thinking a
minor.
minor key.
Sure.
I'm always going to say Irish punk, but you should.
Irish punk. Jeez
Yeah.
Louise.
I love the. I
You
love
need
the
to tune to
Pogues.
Dadgad.
I love the Pogues.
Jenny.
Oh, here we go, baby.
Jenny. Will she play the songs you want? No, I can't do the Irish accent. Will she play the songs you want? Probably not. But it's okay, cause she's not as expensive as everybody else. And you'll save money.
Woo!
It's fun for Gentiles and Jews.
That's right,
Hire Jenny. Love is on the ones and twos.
Now with 2 N's.
Josh, that was beautiful. The wedding DJ of last resort. That's her tagline. You were part of the North Carolina Comedy Festival in Greensboro in 2018, and then more recently, the Franklin Street Comedy Festival in 2019.
Sure, yeah.
Get into those events a little bit.
The North Carolina Comedy Festival was put on by the folks over at the Idiot Box Comedy Club. I just submitted and performed on that. But the Franklin Street Comedy Festival was something I put together with Will Papora and Chelsea Keys and all the folks at the former Pit, the People's Improv Theater. That we used to
Here,
have
Franklin
over there.
Street, Chapel Hill. Okay.
Yeah. Now, the building's still up there, but it's not a comedy club anymore. The ownership has changed. But we put on a comedy festival around. We had booked Judah Friedlander from 30 Rock.
Nice. You resemble him slightly.
Yeah, I've gotten that. We looked silly in the picture next to each other. But he was already planning to come, and we were like, we could build a festival around that headliner. So we booked improv and stand-up acts from all around. We had shows at the Comedy Club. We had shows at the 506. We did one at the Cave with Michelle McClay. That was really fun.
So in 2019,
It was
there was.
November 2019, so just a couple months before the whole Pandalorian.
So you're telling me there was a Franklin Street Comedy Festival in 2019. It happened.
Yeah, it happened. It was great. It was fun.
Where
And
were
then-
we?
Normally, I would have been all over that because prior to that, and you touched on the Pit, we can get into that a little bit if you want, but in years past, there was a North Carolina Comedy Festival
There was
at the Art Center.
Well, there's the North Carolina Comedy Arts Festival that was connected to DSI, which was the club in that space before the Pit was there. They would do shows in the big theater here. I did a few shows for a few of the North Carolina Comedy Arts Festivals in the Black Box Theater over in the Arts Center.
When that happened here, I attended it and loved it. And you touched on DSI. I don't think we need to go all the way into the details of DSI. We all know it closed a couple years ago. The Pit came out of that.
Yeah,
And,
which was a theater up in New York, and they came down and.
And are they
opened,
just like on hiatus right now? Because
I think it's retaining the name. They're calling it the Pitch, like People's Improv Theater, Chapel Hill, but
they
it's not.
can't do anything.
It's not a comedy club. It's like an event rental space.
yeah, which right now, who's renting space for events?
Yeah, man. I mean, all the shows are getting canceled right now, which is a shame.
Let's just think 5 years into the future. Do you envision the Franklin Street Comedy Festival being something?
I mean, we talk about it. I mean, it's like it's hard to plan it.
Judah Friedlander's a pretty big get
Yeah,
for a
he was.
first year festival.
Yeah. We probably wouldn't have the infrastructure of the club, but Will Papora, who is a co-producer, he's based in Brooklyn now.
He's a big fan of our show. So,
Oh yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Old Will Hollywood Papora, but he's a great stand-up, and he comes down once a month to do the station show with me.
Yeah.
Thank you. I wanted to get into that. So you are currently, I mean, again, pandemic aside,
Yeah, things are generally on hold for January, but hoping to come back. In
you are
February.
generally speaking hosting a stand-up event at the station monthly.
Yeah, once a month we have a stand-up show. We call it Choo Choo Comedy because of the trains, the station. It's like
Yeah,
where the
yeah,
trains
yeah.
were.
Good imagery.
Get it,
Yeah.
Deej?
Yeah.
Giving that sweet comedy to all of our hashtag trainiacs out there. Get on board, it's a movement.
Nice.
But we do that once a month, and then I host an open mic at Zog's every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday. Cool.
We'll come back in February.
We're on a hiatus.
Yeah.
But the one at the station it's a set lineup.
Yeah.
The one at Zog's is if you think you're funny and you get up and you just go for it.
Yeah, and it's mostly stand up. At Zog's, we have anything that fits on the small tiny stage. People want to do poetry or do music.
Yeah.
We got a fella named Stan Comer, really cool local guy who comes and plays tunes. Moved back home to Chapel Hill to retire after living in New Orleans for a
What's
long
up,
time.
Stan?
And he's got a show on Tuesday actually. Well, I don't know if that show's still happening. So
Yeah.
he was going to be performing on Tuesday at Imbibe.
At Imbibe, which is the downstairs, and Zog's is the upstairs. Yeah, and we talked about this earlier. Mandy has
What up,
a
Mandy
show.
Brown?
Yeah, Mandy Brown, shout out. And I love her food too, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
She owns Imbibe, which is like a New Orleans themed
Right.
restaurant.
That's is that over by?
It's that way.
On Henderson Street.
And then
Okay,
above it is
gotcha.
Zog's, which is the. Oh,
Yeah, we went there a couple
You and
weeks
I
ago,
went
yeah.
there after Mark's
After Mark's movie.
movie premiere. Our buddy had a movie premiere at the Varsity
Oh,
Theater.
cool.
We went to
Yeah,
there
that was
afterward.
fun, yeah.
And Mandy has a show on this station Sunday mornings called Fork or Spoon or Salt or Pepper or something like that.
Cool.
Yeah. She's awesome.
Ham or sandwich. I don't know what the
Yeah,
damn
I
thing's
think it's
called, but
Spoon and Fork, Spoon or Fork. But
sounds
check
right.
out her businesses. ImbibeNC.com is her website.
definitely give Mandy some love because the food is great.
It's so good.
Yeah, I've got a lot of respect for Mandy.
She's one of the best people in town.
Yeah, well, be after me and Deej.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, so and then you, so she's like
Well, no,
the fourth
it-
best,
I would
and
say-
Jenny, so she's like the fifth best person in town.
We can figure out those power rankings later. That might be a different show. You know?
Can you come back on our air and just power rank the entire town of Chapel Hill, Carver?
Sure, absolutely. That's how we should do elections. Everyone should power rank everyone they know.
Oh my god,
I'm in. Yeah. All right. So a long time ago, I took a stand-up class at DSI.
Okay.
I hadn't really done much comedy.
Like around when?
2013,
Okay.
I think, and it was a lot of fun.
Do you remember who your teacher was?
His name was Matt C.
Okay, sure.
I think.
You know Matt C?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I've done shows with him.
Okay.
downtown.
Do we know him well enough to know what the C stands for?
His last name is SEE. That's his
Oh,
name.
I thought it was like Caserta. Okay.
Oh no,
Please
no.
continue.
Okay,
Deej.
but like,
When
man,
you said SEE, this is an audio medium. I put my hands up like glasses, like Matt C.
there he blows. Anyway, point being, stand up is tough. Like,
Oh,
like,
my God.
like it's like you can't just. It's not like you're funny, you'll be good at stand up. It's like I think you gotta be funny. You gotta have some X factor, and you gotta be able to read the room,
Yeah.
and you gotta have all these skills that kind of coincide. So, what did you find came to you naturally, and what did you have to work on the most?
Yeah.
Actually sitting down and writing something and like having something to say and
Mm-hmm.
structuring it and trying to deliver it in a way that sounds like natural and authentic, like you're not reading off a piece of paper.
Yeah.
It's a very different thing than like funny at a cocktail party.
Yeah.
It is
absolutely.
totally different skill.
I think stand-up comedy is one of the hardest things in the world. I can make people laugh if we're sitting around bullshitting or chatting. I think I would bomb on a stand-up stage in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And you got to be willing to bomb and have a bad joke and then come back and have 3 or 4 loaded and ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
That's the other thing too, right? It's like your point, your very first gig, your first 5 jokes were bad, but the last one got a laugh, you
Yeah,
were saying.
And I held on to that, sure. There's all different ones, man. Like if you want to tell awful gig stories,
Yeah, let's get into it. We love talking about
A
comedy.
week or two ago, it was a show that ended up like there being 2 people that came to it, and there were
Yeah.
like 5 or 6 people in the lineup, and you know it's a bad time when like if the comics fought the audience and the comics could like have a chance, like that's not, you know, it was a cool venue, and I think they're gonna have great shows there in the future, but just not a lot of people came.
It doesn't work every
Just
night.
right out here in this parking lot one
Yeah.
time, I opened for wrestling. They used to do like a wrestling
Yeah,
promotion.
that's right.
And
That's awesome.
Rob Davis, shout out Rob Davis if anyone knows him around town.
What's up, Rob Davis?
Had the great idea to book stand-up comedians to go before wrestling.
Nice.
I did, I think maybe 20 seconds. I did a couple jokes that didn't work, and I started getting heckled by a 6-year-old who was like, "Boo! You're not
jeez.
funny. This is kick someone or something. Boo!"
I want to see a suplex.
I am not getting paid for this.
Nope.
Bye, guys.
Goodbye.
Yeah, hecklers are the worst. I used to play in a band, and one time we were playing at Deep South,
Okay.
and
Raleigh?
great venue.
Sure.
But like we were playing,
RIP, I believe.
they COVIDed. I just remember there were like maybe 8 people there, and then like most people went outside to smoke, and then like a couple people left, and then the bartender went in the back, and we were just literally playing for nobody. There was nobody there, and we were like, do we keep playing? And then like when a couple people came in, you're kind of like, thanks, and it's hard to maybe not get mad at those people, but then like that's your whole audience. So you have to kind of like balance that really 2 people with thank you 2 for coming.
Yeah.
What kind of audiences do you kind of like work
Small
with?
shows can be fun though.
Okay.
Like when you have like even under 10 people, you have like 8 or 9 people who are super engaged, and you can like feed off their energy. Those shows can sometimes be really good shows, especially if they're in small spaces.
Does it
Yeah.
almost turn into more of an improv, or like, what do you do differently in front of 10 versus in front of 100?
I mean, maybe I'll do more crowd work with a smaller crowd, but I definitely improv a lot more, and like you comment on the situation.
Yeah, like, sir, where you going? Like when someone's going to the bathroom, you might bring that up, and I don't know. I would be terrible at stand-up. I think my calling would have been, I think I could have been a decent sketch writer, but I would never get up there by myself and do a stand-up. I think that would be so freaking hard. And the silence, Deej, your point about when you're in a band and there's no one in the audience, well, at least you can freaking play music and there's noise.
Yeah.
When you're a stand-up and you can hear, you can hear the bartender texting, you know what I mean? Like,
Click, click, click.
yeah, that's got to be.
Man, can you imagine if you didn't have an acoustic guitar and you just had an acoustic bass?
Oh, God, here we
You
go.
had to play like the Seinfeld theme or something. Man. Wow.
Brought to you by Josh Rosenstein.
Good thing we have a real guitar.
The wedding DJ of last resort. Jenny
Right,
Cook,
so-
ladies and gentlemen.
So sometimes you hear about how like college crowds are a certain way, or do you like have to change anything about your act for your audience if you know it's going to be like a college crowd versus like some other population?
40-somethings.
Yeah, I mean, you think about like jokes that reference certain things, or like if it's an older crowd, you don't want to get particularly dirty unless other comics who do dirty material and it's actually, working very well. Sometimes crowds will surprise you.
Do you have a clean act?
I can. I don't prefer to, but
Yeah.
I can clean up things. Some comics only work clean. Some comics refuse to work clean. I feel
Yeah.
like you have to, at least be able to access a lot of that. And then there's some people that just don't want swearing or.
Jim Gaffigan, one of my favorite stand-ups. He had one of the best bits. They were
Jimmy G, as comedians call him.
well, I'm not as close to him as you are, Josh. So, could you invite him to be on?
Sure, yeah.
Can you text him? Right?
I can text him. I have him in my phone.
he-
It's not his number. I just put a number in my phone and put Jim Gaffigan just to show people in bars. Yeah.
He was talking about an interview, and they were asking him about being a clean comedian, and he was like, "It's not so much that I'm a clean comedian, but." When you're up on stage talking about bacon, you don't really need to curse.
Yeah.
That was his whole bit. It was like, it's just that I don't need to curse when I'm talking about bacon for half an hour.
And there's people who are aggressively clean, and that's like their whole identity. Like if they're like a family or Christian comedian, but like, I don't know. I feel like Jim Gaffigan is just a comedian that happens not to curse.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't really swear, but like he talks about like sex and porn and stuff. He's not like G-rated.
Yeah.
It's kind of PG-13.
Well, if you think about the stuff you see on TV, if you phrase things correctly, you can get away with talking about pretty much anything.
Yeah.
And that's kind of with comedy in general. People are like, oh, audiences are so uptight and afraid to laugh. If you phrase things the right way, like you can get away with saying almost anything if you have a good intention behind it. But the level of difficulty on that is super, super high, and a lot of people go for that and they screw up and they offend a lot of people, and that's like.
Yeah.
yeah.
You put out 2 albums earlier in your life, Southern Dirt and Watermelon Mountain.
Yes.
Do you want to play a song from one of those? Is that cool? Can that happen?
Yeah, I think it's a musical clock.
I didn't really prepare anything from those. Those kind of came out a while ago.
As you've noticed, we've prepared
I-
nothing for
I
this
put
show.
out,
So whatever you're
I
comfortable
put
playing.
out Watermelon Mountain my freshman year of college, right after high school when I was 18, and that Southern Dirt I'm really proud of. I made that with some friends. That was 2011.
Yeah.
Which that makes me feel old. That's over 10 years old.
Dude, time
Jeez
flies.
Louise.
But I listened to a bunch of nice YouTube videos of you playing songs in like Asheville and Brevard from, it must have been from the Southern Dirt era.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
that was probably with. Was there a drummer and
and a
someone
young
playing
lady,
violin?
a guy and a
that's,
girl.
Clay Pittman.
Yeah.
He's a prosecutor now.
Nice.
He's in I think Iredell County.
Hello, Clay Pittman.
Yeah, really, really great dude, really good musician, and Hannah Samet is a singer and violinist.
Nice. Well, it's up to you. Do you want to play something, or
Well,
we
do
just keep
you guys want to
bullshitting?
stay silly, or do you want to hear like something more like sad and lonesome?
Sad and lonesome.
Your call.
or your call.
Surprise
Yeah,
us.
yeah, surprise us.
Either or.
This one's kind of a little bit of both.
All right, Bob Dylan, getting
here we
the.
go.
He's putting on the harmonica frame so he can.
God, I
Bob
made the
Dylan.
classic error of putting the harmonica over the head.
Describe this
All
whole
right,
thing
so
for the
Josh
audience.
It's
has.
a complete demerit.
All right, Josh has long hair and a long beard and a hat and some glasses and a mask.
Yep.
And like another hat for some reason. And okay, he's got the harmonica on.
Kind of hoisting it over the beard.
and pretty much about ready to go.
Very unkempt beard, I would say.
Oh, it's very kempt.
I mean, it's medium kempt. It's not kempt or unkempt.
Why don't we say kempt? We say unkempt, but
Like a beard is never kempt. You never feel gruntled.
Yeah.
No one's ever whelmed.
No, you don't furl the red carpet afterwards.
ladies and gentlemen, Josh Rosenstein.
I always think it's weird when folks talk shit about their exes. Like, who are you, George Strait, my man? Fuck off, oh, screw off, go back to Texas. Like how we talked about working clean that whole bit. And then I messed that up.
Josh, no one's listening.
Randy Travis was married when he sang I'll Love You Forever. Then that song went platinum, and his then wife Randy left her. That's true, look it up, Randy Travis left his wife for his dentist. Swife was his dentist's wife. That's true. She called, I didn't answer, so she texted 911. I run out of the courthouse to see what she had done. Turns out she was fine. Well, not fine, had a lot of things on her mind. But if she ever calls me up and says she is feeling suicidal, I will pick up and say nice things, and later I will feel like hell. For approximately the next 2 weeks, then I call up my therapist to talk about boundaries. I always think it's weird when folks talk shit about their exes. Like, who are you, George Strait, my man? Screw off, go back to Texas. Seriously, George Strait, you got charges pending against you? You said the law's looking for you, George Strait? If everyone's saying you're the jerk, like, they can't all be crazy. They're all crazy and you're the normal one. George Strait, I think you should sort it out. Maybe you should get back home to Amarillo by the morning. Hop a red eye, you might just get there on time. Randy Travis.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Woo! The second live performance of the history of this show, Deej.
What's the biggest show? What are you most proud of that you've done in your 10-plus year history?
Besides being on this show.
I mean, it's
Second.
this show. It's a TV writing job I just landed. I'm really proud of. It's a reality show, actually. I'm really excited. It's a spin-off of Sons of Anarchy. It's called Parents of Anarchists.
That was a cool show.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of middle-aged people in living rooms going, "Oh man."
Can't tell. I can't tell if he's joking.
That's a total lie.
Okay, yeah.
The festival was really cool.
Yeah.
Putting that on earlier that year, I did the DC Comedy Festival in Washington D.C. and
Nice.
it was the biggest crowd I ever got to play for. It was 300 people.
That's pretty good.
That's a big crowd for a comedy
There's this venue
show.
that's like an old train depot that's underneath DuPont Circle. They have a theater down there, and they packed with chairs, and they had like risers towards the back. It was really fun to get to perform for that many people.
Have you ever done Good Nights Comedy Club in Raleigh?
Sure, yeah. I haven't hosted or featured for anyone, but I've done local shows there occasionally. I feel like I get booked there like about once a year, and it's always last minute. Like I know somebody else can't do it. Someone's like, "Hey, can you make it?" I'm like, "Yeah."
But you're not offended by that. You're like ready to roll. It's like being the pinch hitter, ready to go in the game. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also, Good Nights for the longest time ran their open mic on Tuesdays as well. So I didn't put in the time to be going to their open mic week after week.
When we first moved to North Carolina, before my daughter was born, it was just Jess and I. we got an apartment in Raleigh, like 3 blocks from Goodnights. We would walk over, have dinner at, there's an awesome restaurant right there called Irregardless Cafe.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Dinner at Irregardless, comedy show, and then walk home.
Oh,
Sweet.
that's fantastic.
Oh my, no pre-kid. It was awesome.
Now,
Yeah.
they're going to be leaving that space before too long.
Well, they're getting older. I mean, the
Yeah.
owners, it was, Irregardless was the longest continually running restaurant in Raleigh 10 years ago, and then now add 10 years to it. So, but what's the deal there with the space?
Oh, Goodnights, I think.
Goodnights. You're talking about Goodnights.
The building, I think, is going to be demolished to put up
Development.
luxury housing, which, to be fair, I mean, comedy clubs are fine, but Raleigh needs more luxury housing. I mean, we can all agree. It's just,
Certainly, we don't need anything with character. Let's just add as many vanilla McMansions as possible. That whole area has been developed like crazy.
not affordable housing, no luxury housing
yeah.
is what we need.
Really, the more expensive, the better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really.
Josh, let's talk just for a moment about hecklers.
Sure.
They suck.
Yeah.
Do they need to exist, or are they like mosquitoes? They could be eradicated, and the world will be better for them. Or do they have?
I mean, like, I agree with you in concept, but, like, execution-wise, a little less genocide-y.
Okay.
Can you work off of them, or should they just be eradicated?
How do you deal with them? Yeah.
It's like, some people just want to be heard. Sometimes it's when people are... The worst is when people are drunk and it's just like they're yelling and, like, once or twice you get something out of it, but it's like, okay, you're being just disruptive. Like, you need to go.
So do you think being good at dealing with hecklers can like bleed over into real life and help you kind of deal with difficult people off stage at all?
Sure.
What are some tips for the folks at home to deal with hecklers of life?
So if you have a life heckler, what you want to do, because the way to defeat a heckler is to, when you make them feel bad about themselves.
Okay.
And the whole audience gets on your side against the heckler.
Okay.
That's how you defeat the heckler, right? So in everyday life, let's say somebody at work is, heckling you in life, you get the rest of the people at your job to hate that person. Boom.
Okay.
That's the move.
Yeah. Find that thing about them that they don't like about them and make fun of them for it.
Okay. So do you have to kind of pick out something visual about them, or make up something about them, or do you have something in your back pocket that you can go to, or?
I really should. I'm not a very aggressive or confrontational type comedian. I don't actually go after hecklers. I try to get them to shut up, but don't actually aggressively make fun of them.
But let's pretend Deej just said something about your dog, for example. What would you reply?
Your
to
beard is unkempt.
So is yours.
that? So he just yeah. That's.
Shut me up.
I feel better already. I'm back in Camp Josh just immediately like that.
Yeah.
I was at a Jerry Seinfeld stand-up in a 1,000-seat theater where tickets were $50, and he got heckled. The top comedian at the height of his career, and he got heckled. I mean, it happens at every level.
Yeah, I mean, one of the greatest regrets of my life is I went to a Hannibal Buress show at Motorco in Durham. It was like, I think he was already in town for Moogfest. Moogfest, not
Moog.
Moogfest. Moogfest,
Oh.
Moogfest.
Are there two?
I believe it's Dutch, so yeah, it would be Moogfest.
Well, Deej goes to all of them, so.
And the MOOG Fest, of course, but he was in town for it and announced the show last minute. And I went to it, it was great, but there was one person who heckled him in the middle, and I was behind them walking back to my car. The person who heckled, she was talking to her partner, and she was telling him, it was so good that I did that, and that was so much better. And my biggest regret is that I didn't walk up to them and be like, Are you high? Are you like the bad kind of high? Like, what's wrong? What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You ruined that. That was you being a terrible person.
Yeah.
Ruining the night of all these people who waited in line for a long time to see what this particular individual had prepared.
Yeah.
I did a biker bar, and it was one of my first shows out of town outside of Asheville, and a bunch of comics piled into a car and went down to outside of Greenville, South Carolina.
Yeah.
And on the door there was a bumper sticker that said, with a big Confederate flag that said, "Don't blame us, we voted for the American."
Oh, my
God.
God.
Geez.
Wow.
And the owner's like, y'all just make sure you make fun of this Obama.
What did you do?
And he kept saying this Obama like there were a bunch of Obamas out there and we just got a bad one. Like, we got a bad Obama. We need to exchange our Obama for a different Obama.
What'd you do?
I didn't do particularly well.
Yeah. You just slogged through it, so to
Yeah.
speak? Oh, my goodness.
At least he said this Obama, not that Obama.
Yeah.
I think take what you can get sometimes.
Yeah, and if we had known, we definitely would not have
Booked it in the first place.
Yeah.
But once you're there,
Yeah, I one of several people booked on it. I just hopped in the car, and there was a huge Confederate flag in the corner and a regular-sized stripper pole. Which was weird. It was like, we really hate black people, and we kind of like naked people. Right. It was like weird that was, I don't know.
Very telling ratio.
Yeah, they're terrible people. We talked junk about them in the car all the way home.
Interesting ratio of Confederate flag to adult entertainment pole.
I mean, I got a pretty good bit out of it.
Yeah?
Most of what I already said.
I gotcha.
We're talking about it right now. So
I did the late night thing where the person's sitting down and they're just doing stand up while they're talking to the person in a real inorganic way.
Got a couple minutes left. You want to give us your social? Where can we find you? Anything you want to tell the folks at home about?
At Folk Singer, PHOLKSINGER on Instagram and Twitter. I
noticed that.
Particularly tweet much. That used to be my stage name. I used to go by Folk Singer Josh.
I saw that with the PH.
When I was in high school, I thought that was incredibly cool.
Yeah.
Once we come back on February, we'll have open mic back at Zog's every Tuesday. Sign up at 7:30. We start at 8, and then look out for Choo Choo Comedy. We'll be posting things about our next show, hopefully in February.
At the station, right across the street from this very studio, Deej.
I could throw a rock and fall quite short.
And Josh,
I mean, I could throw a huge rock and fall way short, or like a small rock and fall barely short.
Right. Well, if the first rock was too big, I couldn't get it up.
I'll tell you for sure, DJ could hit a softball from here, and it would hit the damn...
That's true.
Anyone who's in Carborough, if you guys want to meet us in the parking lot in about 5 minutes with all the rocks you have in your home.
Big fight. Rock fight.
Yeah.
But then you have to take us to the taco truck afterward.
What's the future of stand-up comedy? Do you see it evolving much, or is it kind of once COVID, quote unquote, is over, does it kind of go back to what it was, or what do you think?
I think a lot of people, like, once they feel safe, are like looking for that. There was this period right after all the vaccines came out in the summertime, right before Delta hit, where it was
July.
Like,
it was like a sweet month.
There were even a couple of unmasked shows indoors, but everyone was vaccinated, and we didn't feel like it was pushing it. But looking back on it, it was kind of pushing it. People were so ready to have shows again, and people were so, like, thankful. I feel like, at least in this area, when shows were first coming back. But it's hard, especially open mics or shows where you're trading the microphone back and forth between people, and folks are, laughing and expelling their, droplets out in the air. It's not a particularly safe thing to do.
Yeah, a bunch of people in a small room laughing is about as risky a behavior as there is.
I feel like if I were like COVID and I was trying to infect people, I would like, okay, where is the nearest open mic? Because you get all those people sharing the microphone and then people laughing, and then they go out and with their other friends.
A couple quick things before we sign off here. So you were or are part of the Chapel Hill Cultural Arts Commission. Is that still a thing?
Sure. Yeah, it's a an advisory board of the town of Chapel Hill.
Are you the chairman?
I'm the vice chair. So it's a volunteer position. You're appointed by town council. I'm in, I believe, my last term, but we meet monthly. Our meetings are open to the public. If you just find the website for the Town of Chapel Hill's Cultural Arts Office, the director, Susan Brown, and her staff do an incredible job.
But let's be honest, the vice doesn't really do anything, Josh. Come on.
Oh, it's great. I get to see the meeting agendas before the meetings, but I don't have to put them together. It's fantastic.
Programming announcement. So this show, our very show, is moving to 9 p.m. From 10 p.m. pretty soon. Do you have a little jingle for that?
9 p.m.
Chris or Jenny?
We are Chris or Jenny, an hour earlier than we used to be. It's the same content, you just get it sooner.
And that's beautiful. And an event you might be interested in, especially if you want to put together like a family-friendly hour. We're having a fundraiser for this station. It's the WCOM Friends and Family Festival fundraiser, or
FAF.
April 23rd at Carborough Commons.
April 23rd, Carborough Commons.
Kids who's going to be there having like it's going to be like a family-friendly event. I'm going to have food trucks. Vecino's going to serve beer tent.
Cool.
4 acts are going to be lined up. I've got one lined up already, Karen K.
Yeah.
And Josh, if you want to put together, let's talk about it more.
I'm totally down. Would be more than happy to volunteer my time.
It's not a volunteer. We're paying the band.
You got to do fundraising. It's really hard. People come out and support.
April 23rd. Saturday.
Put it in your calendars. Everyone pick up your pen. Circle it in your calendar.
And Josh Rosenstein may or may not be playing that night. And doing stand-up.
Sure.
How about
Cool.
that?
Nice. Hey, I got something to plug too. So
Do it.
I joined a new band.
Yay!
And,
Finally, give a
quote-
little jingle for that.
All right. So what we do is we're rock and roll karaoke.
I love it.
So it's
Oh,
karaoke,
this is cool.
but like you sing with a rock band instead of like a monitor.
Yes.
Deej.
So our first show is Saturday, January 29th at Ruby's, which is downtown Durham, across from Bull McCabe's.
Oh, that place is gonna be packed.
Starts at 7 or 8 p.m. Come check it out. I have no idea how it's going to go. It should be fun.
Oh, that sounds like an absolute party.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool. And Ruby's is brand new. I went and checked it out. They kind of have this like speakeasy theme going on. It's pretty cool.
DJ Simon's at Ruby's. I love it. Our audience is obsessed with this man.
Get a Moscow Mule.
Thank you so much for doing this. DJ Simon's, thank you. Jenny, thank you for the text. Josh, take us away, brother.
Give us your best
It's
90
the
seconds.
End of the show. We had a nice show. We learned about each other and we talked about things. And I kind of said the F word by mistake. And I almost caught it. Kick, save, and a butte. Not quite. I hope we don't get fined.
Good night, friends.
Good night.